In this video, YouTuber Matt Kohrs explores Bitcoin's future, weighing its potential as a solid store of value against the risk of a market bubble. He notes that despite possible short-term volatility, Bitcoin's long-term outlook is boosted by factors like dollar devaluation and inflation, advocating for a dollar cost averaging strategy for investors to mitigate risk. Kohrs also identifies upcoming regulatory changes as significant catalysts that could elevate Bitcoin's price to $250,000 within the next year.
At another tulip mania that is maybe on the precipice of popping. I don't think the bubble is going to go that way. This is my own opinion. I think there's no middle ground. I don't think we're going to stop here. I think either going to zero or we keep climbing higher and higher and higher. Now, in the short term, your guess is as good as mine. We might as well just be flipping a coin. But in the long term, if this idea of a store of value and the US dollar always being devalued, I think Bitcoin goes higher and higher. So yes, I know that there's a lot of people making money on actively trading it, but I'm a much bigger fan of simply dollar cost averaging.
And so with that in mind, how would you be dollar cost averaging even on some of the milestones hit and then even on the pullbacks as well? Because even in that dollar cost averaging, it relies on you selling a little bit of your overall stake or your portfolio that you may have built up in order to then take some profits, buy back in at a lower level, assuming that there's going to be and hoping that there might be a pullback as well at some point.
So with that, I think there's two schools of thought. I think the easiest option is literally a day per month that you just pick and buy a small portion and just keep doing it. Personally, for me, for people who want to feel like their fingers are a little bit more on the pulse, I wait for a certain percentage pullback from whatever the recent high is. But there's various models that show either of these historically, they're actually pretty close in terms of today performance. So I don't think that there's going to be much loss if you do any generic form of dollar cost averaging.
Certainly. What's the next major milestone or catalyst that you think that the crypto community needs to see in order for 100,000 not just to be justified, but for it to feel like we can move even higher from this point?
In terms of justification, I think that's almost the values in the eye of the beholder as we see inflation rip and the value of the dollar going down and down and down. I think we kind of get this backwards. I think people are viewing Bitcoin as it going up from the bottom left to the top right, when in reality, to me, Bitcoin is holding constant. It's actually the US dollar going from the top left down to the bottom right. I think the way we actually view the Bitcoin chart is incorrect. I am always betting on the US dollar going down, and it just seems mathematically, it's the mathematical sleight of hand that on a relative basis, Bitcoin's going up against it. So in terms of value, that's how I see it. In terms of next major catalyst, as the previous segment was talking about, yes, we're going to get a new chairman of the SEC, so that's going to bring new regulation. I think this is actually going to be a very positive time. In terms of value, I think there's going to be excitement at 2 and 2.5 trillion for overall Bitcoin market cap. But from there, I think the next big psychological level in terms of US dollar value will be 250,000, which I want to make clear, I do believe is very possible in the upcoming calendar year.
All right.